The Jeep fishtailed violently as Lena Ortiz fought to control the steering wheel. The tires screeched across the icy curve, known ominously as Dead Man's Curve. Outside, the storm raged in full fury. Snow whipped across the windshield like 1,000 tiny needles, blurring the world into a swirling white abyss. The guardrail that should have hugged the road was swallowed by drifting snow, leaving nothing to stop her from plunging down the steep mountainside. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out the roaring engine and whipping wind. Lena's hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles white with tension. For one terrifying moment, she couldn't tell where the sky ended and the cliff began. Survival instinct surged through her, her primal force sharper than any photographer's, urging her to steady the vehicle and live another breath. Suddenly, the engine coughed, sputtered, then died. The Jeep shuddered to a silent halt, swallowed by a mound of fresh snow. Outside, the storm's roar softened into an eerie hush, as if the world itself was holding its breath. In that unnatural silence, Lena's pulse became a steady drumbeat. In the cold stillness, then came the faintest sound-dragged scratching against the metal chassis. Someone or something was here, trapped in this frozen prison with her. Desperation echoed in the sound, a plea reaching out through the blizzards. Grip, fumbling, Lena flipped her high beams on, the bright light slicing through the storm like a blade. Two shadowy forms emerged from the white haze, a tall, gaunt silhouette swaying unsteadily, and a smaller shape curled defenselessly against the snow. Their eyes caught the light golden, flickering like fragile flames struggling to survive the cold. In that brief moment, Lena felt the fragile thread of hope wavering in the blizzard's heart. Without hesitation, Lena left her camera on the passenger seat, the world of deadlines and photos forgotten. She threw open the Jeep door and stepped into the biting wind, the snow stinging her cheeks like tiny shards of ice. Her breath came in sharp clouds, but beneath the cold was a fiery surge of empathy that warmed her from the inside out. Here, in this ruthless storm, survival wasn't about pictures or paperwork. It was about life trembling just beyond her reach. Up close, Lena saw him, clearly a skeletal German shepherd, every rib etched under coarse, matted fur. He stood rigid, guarding something small and trembling in the snow's cruel grasp, though exhaustion weighed down his legs. His stance was fierce and protective. His eyes never left Lena's dark pools filled with wariness and an ancient wisdom, silently questioning if she was friend or foe. Lena's ice-cold fingers fumbled with the dog's collar, stiff with frost and tangled fur. The leather was cracked and worn, nearly fused to his skin. But the faded letters were still legible. Rocky missing since 2018, Denver. 7 years. 7 years of silence, survival, and solitude slammed into Lena's heart. How had Rocky lived through this endless wilderness? And why was he carrying a pup that couldn't be his? Snow thickened outside as Lena gently wrapped her parka around the tiny pup, warming its fragile body. Rocky hesitated, then, with a cautious step, allowed himself into the Jeep's back seat. The door slammed shut against the howling gale, and the heater sputtered weakly to life. 3 castaways, 2 animals, and 1 woman shared a fragile breath of warmth. In that silent, hopeful moment, Lena promised herself none of them would face the storm, or what came after, alone. Lena cracked the Jeep's window just wide enough for the storm wind to claw at her cheeks. She eased a strip of venison jerky into the night. "Easy, boy, it's yours," she whispered, voice trembling as much from awe as from cold. The German shepherd took one wary step, ribs quivering beneath ragged fur. Behind him, the pup huddled so tightly that only its coal-black nose showed. Rocky sniffed the jerky eyes fixed on Lena, measuring her intent. A full minute passed before he nudged the morsel toward the pup. Tiny jaws snapped it up. Only when the pup chewed did Rocky creep forward for his own bite. The brittle meat cracked between his teeth. Gratitude flickered in his gaze. "Good boy," Lena breathed, sliding another strip across the sill. Inch by inch she widened the window until Rocky's head slipped inside and the pup scrambled over the doorframe. Snow spiraled in after them, but Lena barely felt the chill. She felt the fragile thread of trust knotting them together, three strangers choosing, in the middle of a blizzard, to believe in one another. While the heater groaned to life, Lena's thoughts flashed back to that morning's crackling radio report. Community search teams continue looking for pets displaced by August's wildfires. The announcer had said, listing phone numbers and shelter hours. At the time she'd half listened, packing camera lenses and chasing a deadline. Now, with Rocky's frostiff collar in her lap, the broadcast felt prophetic. The storm might have trapped them, but wildfires had driven them here, first scattering lives like sparks on the wind. The pup no tag, no name pressed against Rocky's flank eyes closing in exhausted relief. Lena's chest tightened. Somewhere a family was still waiting, just as the bulletin had promised, clinging to hope every bit as brave as this dog. The dashboard clock glowed at 6:47 p.m., 2 hours past the time. She'd promised her editor the mountain lion photos. Cellular bars. 1. Battery. 20%. Lena swallowed. "Turn back," the practical voice ordered, "or you'll lose the contract." But the pup's soft whimper snapped the thought in half. Snow battered the windshield harder, as if urging her to choose. She pictured driving away, leaving them to the wolves and the night. The image sliced through her like ice. Money could be replaced. Lives could not. With a shuddering breath, Lena killed the nagging voice of deadlines. "Looks like we're in this together," she murmured, reaching to scratch behind Rocky's ear. His tail gave a tentative thump, sealing her decision more firmly than any signature. She thumbed the radio mic clipped to the console, praying the Ranger frequency still carried this far. "Dispatch, this is Ortiz, on Route 14, mile marker 37. I've found a German Shepherd tag," says Rocky, "missing since 2018, Denver. He's injured but stable. Also a pup, no ID. Storm conditions are severe, over." Static hissed, then a male voice crackled back. "Copy that, Ms. Ortiz. Rocky belongs to Mr. Harold Whitaker. He's filed reports every year since the dog disappeared. On a camping trip, man never quit looking." Lena glanced at Rocky. 7 years, 70 dog years of mountains, fires, storms. Yet he'd survived, and somehow gained a pup to protect. "Mr. Whitaker's still in Denver?" she asked. "Actually," the ranger replied, "he's rented a cabin 10 miles south, closer to search areas. I'll patch him through." A new voice, gravelly with age, yet bright with hope, filled the cab. "Rocky, is he really there?" Lena swallowed the lump in her throat. "He's here, sir, thin but fighting. My boy always fought," Mr. Whitaker said, voice quavering. "Please keep him safe. I'm heading your way as soon as the road's clear." Lena met Rocky's gaze in the rearview mirror. "He heard you," she said softly. Rocky's ears perked, and for the first time his tail wagged with something stronger than caution-recognition. As Lena signed off with the Rangers, the storm outside deepened, rattling the Jeep like an angry drum. She passed a final strip of jerky to Rocky, who took it gently, then nudged the last crumbs to the pup. Watching them share, Lena felt a quiet vow settle in her chest, until old Mr. Whitaker wrapped his arms around this brave dog again. She would be their guardian through every mile of snow that still lay between them and home. Lena unwraps the last packet of jerky and tears it into 2 uneven pieces. "Breakfast, little one," she says, holding the bigger slice toward the pup. Aspen noses the food, paws skidding on the vinyl seat. Rocky blocks her path, ribs quivering. With hunger then pauses as Lena lays the meat in Aspen's reach. The pup chews noisily, tail thumping against Rocky's foreleg. Only after Aspen swallows does Lena offer the second piece to Rocky. He flicks wary eyes from the meat to her face, measuring her intent. At length he accepts, jaws gentle, and allows her trembling fingers to brush the mud-matted fur behind his ear. A sigh, half relief. Half exhaustion escapes Rocky's scarred chest. The Jeep's fragile warmth is not merely heat now. It is the first member of trust shared among 3 survivors. Mid-morning light reveals the only road south ripped open by floodwater. Timber planks hang like snapped bones. The river below roars brown and wild. Lena grips the steering wheel, mind racing. The Ranger outpost and antibiotics Rocky desperately needs lie 10 miles beyond, but the bridge is gone. Rocky sniffs the air, ears swiveling. Without warning he leaps from the Jeep, trots up slope, and disappears behind snow-draped pines. Panic surges through Lena. Then his bark drifts back brief, urgent. She follows on foot, Aspen bundled in her coat. 100 yards upstream, Rocky stands on a broad beaver dam, sturdy as a woodland highway. Water hisses through packed branches, but the structure holds. "Clever boy," she murmurs. Heart hammering, she edges across, boots slipping on frozen twigs. Rocky paces beside her, body angling to brace if she falls. Together they reach the far bank, and relief washes through her like sunlight. The detour costs an hour, yet buys something priceless, proof that Rocky trusts her enough to lead, that she trusts him enough to follow. Late afternoon, clouds boil black against the peaks. The first thunderclap cracks the sky open. Rocky flinches as though struck. His hackles rise, eyes wide with memory. Lena pulls over beneath a leaning spruce. She pitches her emergency tarp between trunk and Jeep, weighting the corners with camera. Cases, rain slashes sideways, drumming the nylon dot inside the makeshift cave. Aspen whimpers. Rocky paces, chest tight with panic. Lena crouches, voice low and steady. "You're safe here, boy. Hear me, safe." She drapes her sleeping bag over his trembling back, then sets her palm on his ribs, feeling the gallop of his heart. Minutes stretch. Slowly, Rocky's breathing settles. His weight sinks against her thigh. Aspen curls into the hollow of Rocky's belly, nose tucked beneath his tail. Lightning flickers beyond the tarp. But within their tiny refuge, the fear ebbs away by the simple power of touch, warmth, and whispered reassurance. Morning breaks are clean and bright. As Lena packs the damp gear, she tests a word half remembered from childhood obedience classes. "Sit." Rocky tilts his head. She repeats the command. His haunches fold to the ground. A lump forms in her throat. "Stay." He holds position until she steps back. Aspen yips bounding circles around him. "You were trained," Lena murmurs, kneeling to meet his gaze. "Someone loved you once." The discovery ignites fresh determination. If Rocky can still obey, he can relearn trust in people beyond her. Maybe Mr. Whitaker will not just see his dog, again he will recognize the soul unchanged beneath the scars. They pause at a meadow laced with slender white trunks. Sunlight strikes the snow, scattering silver sparks. Lena lifts the pup to eye level. You need a name, little explorer. She turns, letting the dogling see the forest of pale trees. Aspen suits you, doesn't it? The pup barks half squeak, half approval. Rocky wags, as if seconding the choice. Lena laughs, a bright sound startling after days of tension. Naming the pup feels like planting a flag in their shared future declaration that this journey leads not merely away from danger, but toward family. Static crackles through the jeeps. Radio as they crest a ridge. Predator control units mobilizing to track wolf activity near Timber Pass. All hikers advised to keep pets leashed or indoors. Lena's stomach knots. Wolves mean guns. Hunter teams won't pause to wonder whether a lean shepherd is stray or survivor. She glances at Rocky trotting alongside the jeep, tongue lolling, oblivious to human politics of fear. Aspen peers out the window, ears perked. We keep moving. Lena decides aloud. Faster, but together. She senses the stakes rising like dark clouds on the horizon. Yet the bond forged over food, river, and storm has hardened into something resilient, something ready to face whatever hunts in the mountains. As the jeep descends toward Timber Pass, engine humming with new purpose, Lena's eyes flick too. The tree lines searching for grey shadows that might signal the wolf pack. Rocky trots closer to the bumper, every sense alert. Aspen, drowsy from the road's rhythm, rests her head on Lena's arm. The real test of their fragile family lies ahead, where rifles echo and predators rule. But for now, 3 hearts beat, in quiet unison, each trusting that the others will fight to keep them safe, come thunder, flood, or fangs in the dusk. Shadows detach from the pines, first 2, then 5, then a full crescent of lean grey bodies. Yellow eyes burn like scattered embers, herding Lena, Rocky, and Aspen toward the warped shell of an abandoned cabin. The air hangs heavy with the scent of wet fur and pine sap. Rocky plants himself between the wolves and the pup, lips lifting in a silent snarl. Aspen whimpers, but stays close, tiny body pressed against Lena's boot. The largest wolf steps forward, paws crunching snow, shoulders rolling with predatory confidence. Lena's pulse pounds, too many. No rifle, no time. She grips Rocky's scruff, feeling the tremor of restrained fury beneath his skin. The circle tightens, breath plumes mingle fear and hunger swirling in the gathering dark. Through the cabin's splintered doorframe, Lena glimpses a trapdoor half buried in sawdust. A narrow cellar tunnel just tall enough for a person angles beneath the hillside. She shoulders it open. Rotten timbers creak ominously. Rocky and Aspen could crawl through, but a single wrong shift of weight might bring the roof down, alone. She might squeeze by safely. With 2 dogs, the odds collapse. She turns to Rocky, eyes stinging. I can get help, but I can't take you both. Not through there. Her voice breaks on the choice. Abandon them to the pack, or risk burying them all alive. Rocky gazes back, unblinking. In that moment, Lena sees the answer in his steady state. He will decide for her. With a gentle nudge, Rocky herds Aspen toward the tunnel entrance. The pup hesitates sincere. Rocky issues a low, encouraging huff. Aspen scrambles inside, nails skittering on earth. Then Rocky wheels, squaring off against the alpha wolf. Snow scatters beneath his paws as he lunges, snapping air inches from the rival's muzzle. The pack recoils, momentarily stunned by the gaunt dog's ferocity. "Rocky, no," Lena cries, torn between retreat and rescue. He doesn't glance back. Every muscle locks into a living shield, buying seconds she cannot squander. The alpha snarls, preparing to strike. Rocky lifts his muzzle and releases a howl-along, echoing note threaded with pain and command. The sound ricochets through the timber valley. Dot from beyond the ridge answers another chorus. Deep barks, mingled voices of many dogs. Moments later, shapes burst from the darkness, scruffy trail mutts, scarred by frost and fire. Survivors like Rocky, who once roamed these mountains. With him, they crash into the wolves with thunderous growls. Chaos erupts, snow fur and fangs, whirling as new allies drive the pack back into the trees. Lena watches, wide-eyed, as the alpha retreats. Tails slashed by a brindlehound's bite. In the clearing's sudden hush, Rocky sways on his paws. A crimson bloom spreading along his shoulder. A quake shudders through the rotted cabin beams. Too much weight. Too much time. The roof groans, dropping splinters like rain. Inside, Boynar, Lena grips Rocky beneath the chest. He stumbles, but helps, hind legs scrabbling. Together they slide into the tunnel just as the cabin Fasaji carves, sending a thunder of timbers onto the wolf-scarred snow. The passage is coffin dark. Earth showers from above with every heartbeat. Aspen waits ahead, whining. Lena slings Rocky's weight across her shoulders, crawling on scraped knees, lungs burning with dust. Behind them, beams continue to collapse in domino crashes. Hot pain sears her arms, but she drags Rocky forward inch by inch until a sliver of moonlight appears, an exit cut into the hillside. They spill out onto fresh snow moments before the tunnel mouth implodes, sealing the pass behind a wall of earth and shattered wood. Rocky collapses, sides heaving. Lena presses her forehead to his, tears freezing on her cheeks. "You saved us," she whispers. Aspen licks Rocky's muzzle, small tail fluttering with gratitude. Sirens wail faintly in the distance, the rangers she called hours ago, finally, carving a path through the storm-scarred roads. And as blue lights crest the ridge, Lena realizes the battle for survival has forged something unbreakable, a bond that faced the fangs of night and chose love over fear. Blue strobes slice through the tree line, painting the snow in pulses of sapphire. To ranger trucks grind to a halt. Paramedic green jackets fan out, voices crisp with practiced calm. "Over here," Lena calls, kneeling beside Rocky's blood-matted shoulder. Aspen huddles against her thigh, small chest fluttering with worry. Within moments, deft hands clean Rocky's wound, wrap it in gauze, and start a warm IV. A ranger slips a space blanket across Aspen's back. He's stable. The medic assures, catching Lena's trembling relief. "You kept them alive." Lena exhales a breath she did not know she'd been holding. The night's terror ebbs, replaced by the fragile hush of survival earned. Headlights crest the ridge again, this time a dented pickup. The door opens and an elderly man steps out, cane digging into the crusted snow. His eyes search until they land on the German shepherd, Rocky. At the voice, Rocky's ears lift. Despite the bandage, he staggers forward, tail stirring the powder. Mr. Whitaker's cane clatters aside as he sinks to one knee. Dog and man press foreheads together to survivors closing 7 stolen years in a single breath. Aspen inches closer, nose twitching, Mr. Whitaker's wrinkled hand extends. "And who might you be, little lady?" The pup licks his fingers, claiming a place beside the reunion rather than outside it. Lena watches the scene, throat tight. Camera dangling, she realizes no lens could capture what loyalty looks like. From the inside, Rocky nudges Aspen toward her, then back to Mr. Whitaker's silent bridge between past and future. Lena feels the nudge in her own heart. Stories like this shouldn't stay trapped on a memory card, she thinks. They should change lives, starting with mine. She crouches, meeting Aspen's amber gaze. "How would you feel about sticking with me, kiddo? We could show the world why rescues matter." Aspen's tail drums, yes, and Rocky offers a soft wood. That sounds like blessing. The old man straightens with effort. "Ms. Ortiz, you saved my boy when I couldn't. If Rocky's taught me anything, it's that family can stretch." He gestures between them. "Why don't we raise these two together? City comforts at my place, mountain trails with you." Rocky's heart is big enough for both homes, seems mine should be too. Emotion swells behind Lena's eyes. "I'd be honored." A ranger witnesses the handshake, calloused fingers and frost-pink knuckles, sealing an agreement deeper than paper. Above them, the first stars pierce the clearing sky, silent witnesses to a new pact. Spring returns with birdsong and meltwater laughter. Beneath a grove of fluttering aspens, Lena frames her shot. Mr. Whitaker seated on a fallen log, Rocky leaning into his knee, Aspen sprawled across Rocky's paws. Mountains soft in the distance. "Hold that smile," she laughs. The shutter clicks once, twice, capturing sunlight caught in Rocky's healed fur and the easy curve of Mr. Whitaker's grin. When she lowers the camera, no one moves to leave. Breeze stirs fresh leaves overhead, whispering of seasons to come city. Winters by a fireplace, summer hikes on forgotten trails. Stories told to anyone who'll listen about a storm, a bridge of beavers, and a howl that called a family home. Lena slips the new memory card into her pocket, feeling its weight like a promise to tell every heart that love, once found, can outlast wildfires, wolves, and the longest winter night. Years, storms, and mountains could not sever the thread that bound Rocky to Mr. Whitaker, nor the new strand that tied Lena and Aspen to them both. Love proved itself a compass, truer than any map, quietly guiding paws and footsteps back to one another even when distance, danger, and doubt tried to scatter them. It endured starvation, wildfire smoke, and the howl of hungry wolves, yet it never frayed. In the hush that followed rescue, every heartbeat human and canine code the same certainty. Real love does not fade with time or wilderness. It waits, patient and steadfast, until the circle is whole again. Rocky's instinct to shield a pup that was not his own and, later, to stand between Lena and a wolf pack, proved that loyalty is measured not by lineage, but by choice. In answering that loyalty, Lena and Mr. Whitaker wove a family no genealogy could chart. An aging man, a wandering photographer, a battle-scarred shepherd, and a snow-sparked pup. Trust, once offered and honored, multiplied, turning strangers on a winter road into kindred souls who now share hearths, hikes, and hopes. Their story reminds us that family is less about who you were born to and more about who you refuse to abandon. One roadside decision to open a Jeep door and share a strip of jerky scent ripples wider than anyone could see that night. It mended Mr. Whitaker's grieving heart, redirected Lena's life toward advocacy, and gave Aspen a future rich with love rather than loneliness. acts of compassion rarely end where they begin. They travel through lives, healing old wounds and sowing new dreams. The tale of Rocky, Aspen, Lena, and Mr. Whitaker invites every listener to believe that their smallest kindness might one day become someone else's miracle.